What if I told you that one of the greatest technological inventions of the 20th century, something that would later power Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS, came from a glamorous Hollywood actress once known as the most beautiful woman in the world? A woman whose invention helped the Allies win World War II, but whose name was forgotten for decades. Before we dive in, if you love true stories that reveal the hidden genius and untold history behind World War II, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on the bell. Each week, we uncover the forgotten legends that shaped history in ways you'd never imagine. Now, let's go back to 1933, Vienna. The young woman's name was Hedwig Eva Kiesler. Born to Jewish parents, her father was a banker, her mother a pianist. From a young age, she was fascinated not just by art, but by how things worked. While other girls played with dolls, Hedy disassembled music boxes and clocks, curious about the gears inside. By the age of 16, she was studying engineering in Vienna. But she also had another passion, acting. She was stunning, confident, and quickly caught the attention of European filmmakers. Her breakout role came in 1933 in a controversial film called Ecstasy. It shocked the world and made her famous, but fame soon became a prison. In the same year, Europe was beginning to fall under the dark shadow of fascism. Adolf Hitler had just risen to power in Germany, and Austria was becoming increasingly aligned with the Nazi regime. It was a dangerous time to be Jewish, and even more dangerous to be famous. Then came Fritz Mandl. He was a powerful Austrian arms manufacturer, one of the wealthiest men in Europe. He saw Hedy not as an actress, but as a trophy. At just 19 years old, she married him. But her new life was nothing like a fairy tale. Fritz was deeply connected with the Nazi and Italian fascist elite. His dinner parties were attended by generals, politicians, and weapons engineers. They spoke about torpedoes, guidance systems, radio control, and Hedy sat quietly, listening. Behind her beautiful smile, she was learning. While her husband saw her as decoration, she was absorbing every technical detail she overheard about military technology, about how radio-controlled torpedoes could be easily jammed by enemies, tuning into their frequencies. But the marriage was a gilded cage. Mandl kept her under constant surveillance, forbidding her to act again. By 1937, she had enough. One night, wearing all her jewelry and disguised as a maid, Hedy escaped from their mansion. She fled Austria just as Hitler prepared to annex it. She traveled to London, alone, heartbroken but free. There she met Louis Mayer, the head of MGM Studios. He offered her a contract in Hollywood. On the voyage to America, she reinvented herself. She became Hedy Lamarr. Hollywood embraced her like royalty. She starred alongside Clark Gable and Spencer Tracy, becoming one of the most iconic actresses of the 1940s. But inside, she was restless. While the world adored her for her beauty, she wanted to be recognized for her mind. Then came 1940. The world was at war again. Hitler's U-boats were sinking Allied ships across the Atlantic using deadly torpedoes. The U.S. Navy was desperate for new technology to counter them. That's when Hedy met George Antheil, an eccentric American composer and inventor. He was known for his experimental ballet mécanique, which synchronized multiple player pianos. The two became fast friends. They shared a fascination with invention, music, and mechanics. Hedy began to tell him about the military conversations she had overheard years before, about how radio-controlled torpedoes could be easily jammed by enemies, tuning into their frequencies. Together, they started thinking, what if the signal could jump between frequencies in a pattern known only to the transmitter and receiver? That way, no one could intercept or jam it. It was an audacious idea, part music rhythm, part military genius. Over late-night sketches and experiments, the actress and the composer developed a system using frequency hopping, changing radio frequencies rapidly and randomly to secure communication. Antheil used the idea of a player piano roll, the same mechanism that controlled automatic pianos, to synchronize the changes. Hedy understood the radio side. Together, they designed a mechanism that could guide torpedoes without being jammed by enemy signals. They filed for a patent in 1941, Secret Communication System. On August 11, 1942, the U.S. Patent Office granted it under Hedy's real name, Hedy Lamarr. The system was decades ahead of its time, but when they presented it to the Navy, the response was disappointing. The officials didn't take it seriously. A glamorous movie star and a composer designing military technology? Impossible, they thought. They politely thanked her, told her to help the war effort by selling war bonds instead, and filed her patent away. And so, the technology sat in silence, forgotten. If you're still watching, you clearly love stories that reveal the human side of history. So if you haven't already, subscribe, because the next part of this story will change how you see both Hollywood and modern technology forever.
While her invention gathered dust in a drawer, Hedy Lamarr became a wartime icon. She sold millions of dollars in war bonds, using her fame to support the Allies. But she never gave up her passion for invention. In her spare time, she tinkered with new ideas, improved traffic lights, fizzy drink tablets, even concepts for aircraft design. Meanwhile, the war raged on. The technology she invented, frequency hopping, could have saved countless lives had it been used then. But military bureaucracy and prejudice stood in the way. The U.S. Navy wouldn't revisit the patent for another 2 decades. Then came the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. The U.S. military needed secure communication systems for ships and missiles. Suddenly, engineers rediscovered the forgotten secret communication system. They adapted its principles, not with piano rolls, but with new electronic components. It worked. Frequency hopping spread-spectrum technology became a cornerstone of modern secure communication. From that single idea, born in the mind of an Austrian actress in exile, came the foundation of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS. But Hedy didn't know. No one told her. For decades she lived quietly, raising children and watching her fame fade. In interviews, she'd occasionally mention her inventions, but people thought she was exaggerating. Hollywood had moved on, and history had forgotten her genius. She once said, "The world isn't getting any better, and I want to do my part to make it better." She did, but no one gave her credit. By the 1990s, engineers finally began uncovering the truth. Historians pieced together her patent and realized how visionary it was. The technology that powered everything from mobile phones to satellites had roots in Hedy Lamarr's frequency hopping system. In 1997, 52 years after she received her patent, Hedy Lamarr was finally honored with the Electronic Frontier Foundation Pioneer Award. She was in her 80s, living in Florida when the call came. She didn't attend the ceremony, but when she heard she was being recognized, she simply said, "It's about time." She passed away in 2000, at age 85, but her legacy lives on, not just on movie screens, but inside every smartphone, Wi-Fi router, and GPS signal on Earth. Her story is a reminder of how genius can come from the most unexpected places. That brilliance knows no gender, no fame, no limit. Hedy Lamarr wasn't just a star. She was a visionary who saw the future decades before anyone else. Before you go, if you believe stories like Hedy's deserve to be known, stories of hidden heroes and forgotten geniuses who changed history, then make sure you subscribe, because we tell the stories that textbooks leave out, and the ones that prove that even in war, humanity's brightest ideas can shine through the darkest times.